Hello, it is Nigeria Now on Echo Television International, where we look at the current issues in Nigeria, ranging from security, crime, human angles, and quite a lot, even down to politics. And just like every other day, we tend to look at things that are actually burning in the nation, and we have quite a number of some we love to look at on the show today. You can be part of the conversation by dropping your comment and your contribution on our Facebook and our YouTube channels. I am Sada Lashidasham, and I'll be doing this together with Rachel Tansay. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
Great. How's the day going so far?
The weather is very cold, sir.
Extreme, like it's
Very
cold. No
cold.
wonder I'm having coffee, even though you don't like taking that while on set.
I just
you know?
want to keep warm another way.
Well, let's see. Let's just dive straight now into it while we keep hope our viewers are actually having a cup of coffee if it's cold in your side. Now we'll start with the security issues because it's actually a very peculiar case when you look at the issue of security. Whether we're looking at banditry, whether we're looking at kidnapping, whether we're even looking at assassination, this is something that is quite versatile in almost every part of the nation. In fact, it's not just unique to Nigeria alone, it's a global case. And we've seen that just recently, an ACO committee of the House of Reps here in Nigeria is actually pushing, urging for the release of Nnamdi Kanu because of the increase of kidnapping, assassination, especially in the southeast. And we know the way insecurity is, it always have a ripple effect because when it starts in one state, eventually other parts tend to be affected.
True.
So you cannot be, you can say you're in a vacuum that is only in Abia State. Eventually it gets down to Enugu. Before you realize it's in Eboyi. And we will recall that a few weeks ago we saw where the southeast governors met with Ribado because of this issue of insecurity. And no wonder the ACO committee that has been set by the House of Reps are pushing and saying that if it means for peace to be restored, then we need to look at the root cause of all this insurgent that is taking place in the southeast. So of course it's quite a lot to look at it, looking at various things that have happened. Even if we're going to look at economically, the southeast have been affected because billions have been lost as a result of this every Monday sit at home. So quite a lot when you look at it, Rachel.
Yes, Sele, it has been a lot because there was once a time we would say that the southeast was peaceful. And with the way Nigeria is right now, is that every region with its unique kind of problem. However, we are faced with insecurity at different form, at different level. And I believe for the people in Southeast is the insecurity with the IPOB making their demand, with their agitation, with what they want, and certain steps they've been taking to make their voice heard, which even led to last year on one of the papers, we saw them being named as a terrorist group. And I remember clearly saying, yes, of course, we can push the fact that they have put themselves in the position where life have been lost through their hands. But then we believe that if they've made it to that list, we are seeing other insecurity in the country that insurgency,
other bodies.
Exactly, that should also make it to the terrorist list. But that aside now, and whether we like it or not, I would like to look at the economy implication of this for the people in the South, is knowing well that these are business-minded people. And we've been seeing the sit at home, in as much as we've seen it on the paper where Nnamdi Kanu said those making this sit at home are wicked. But then the message out there is that they want him released, and we can see that Honorable Obina is moving for that. And one of the things that caught my attention is that he is embarrassed seeing the checkpoints that is now all over the southeast and the extortion that is happening in that checkpoint. And this is one of the effects of insecurity. We've all witnessed it, where once there is, the government is stepping in, putting in checkpoints, and now people are no longer faced with the main threat, but also having to deal with security personnel at the checkpoint, asking for money, embarrassing civilians, and all of that. Now, the question is, will the release of Nnamdi Kanu bring peace to the Southeast, because the move is not a conditional. They made it very clear that it's an unconditional release, meaning the government cannot say, if we release you, you won't do this, you won't. There is no condition attached to his release, and we know what they've been agitating for and what they've been moving for. Now the question is, will his release actually truly bring peace to the Southeast, or would it just give birth to another form of problem or chaos down there? Because we know in the first place why he is under custody. We know what the government is trying to avoid in their own way. Now, if there is a wake up or something like that again, how are we sure there will be peace in the Southeast? Now, this is where I believe the government may have the problem of the unconditional release, because if they would release him to be able to cage him the best way they can, if he's to be a free man, I believe the government would like to have conditions attached to his release. But this is one of the situations that we just have to wait and see how things unfold. But as it is, yes, the killings might reduce, because when people are making demands, it's expected that when that demand is being met, you keep to your own side of the bargain. So if by the time he's been released, and then we keep seeing what is happening in the South is continuing, then that is when the government can step in and say, after all, this wasn't going to bring peace in the first place. You didn't keep to your own side, and then another kind of action will be taken by the government. So we'll just wait and see how things unfold regarding the security in the Southeast, and if the government will give an unconditional release to Kanu, and if subsequently his release, if granted, will be able to bring back peace to that region.
You know, Rachel, even before the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, we had the issue of the militants in the Niger Delta, which can still be boiled down to the issue of saying the fact that what they are supposed to be giving as an oil producing state, they are not being given.
Yes.
They wanted a certain percentage that was not being met. And remember, that was why during the likes of Umaru Yaradua thought the fact that it would be wise, let us have a round table sit with them. During the Jonathan, let us see what we can do about amnesty, and see how, if giving them this particular amnesty, giving them scholarship, giving them grants, that will reduce. And Rachel, we saw that it really, really helped in a large extent. We didn't hear of militants attacking or people going there. We didn't hear of people, you know, talking, even though we still have oil spill, it's still going on there. People still in legal and all of that. Yeah, but then if you look at that activity, it has really reduced. But you raised a very $1 million question, which is, if he is released, how sure are we that things will go back to be normal? Because let's not forget that the number one thing they still need is they need a country of their own. That was the reason why we are having their leader in custody as it is presently. So giving him back, yes, it's because we want to curtail the issue of assassination, banditry. We've seen where lawmakers were being beheaded and the likes of that.
People on the road being killed,
being harassed, and you can't even step here and here. Why? Because of that particular seat at home which was being set. So just like you said, our fingers are crossed right now, and we just hope this is just a proposal, this is just a request. So it's definitely going to go through a lot of
go through a lot of procedures.
They have to wait eventually to see the cons and the pros, which will stand eventually. If really he will, even though from the court it has been said he should be released, but of course we know the government have a way they want things to be, and they're really avoiding anything that will go out of hand. Now, still looking at the issue of security, let us go into education. It's something that we cannot do without. And education, we've said this over and over, it is the bedrock of any society. Where you see growth, where you see progress, where you see integrity, where you see honesty, education is always there, because we get to be, exposed to certain information. And I always say the fact that we have to see the difference between education and being schooled. Because there are people who went to school, but they are not really educated. And that's where you hear words like educated illiterates coming up. Now, NAS is actually querying, or they are querying, the manner in which the student loan is going to be given. We remember clearly when the president signed the student loan into law, there were certain terms and conditions that will be given for students to qualify, which include 2 years of payment, And even if you're going to get that, you need somebody in the civil service that have been working for a particular number of years. If you need a lawyer, the lawyer must have been practicing for like 10 years and all of that. And NAS is coming out to say these conditions are very, very difficult for students to meet. And not everybody. Above all, they were wondering, why is it that the Polytechnic is not being included? College of Education are not included. In fact, there's no student involved in the body for giving the loan. So NAS is coming out to say, why are they not included? Because they want to know what students stand for. You can't be dealing with students and then you don't have a student body representing them there. Anything can go south. So these are the things that, part of the things that NAS is actually querying, looking at the condition of the student loan.
Said on the paper, we even saw where the reps were trying to move for a 3% interest on this loan. And one thing for sure is that if you as a government want to help your people, then you should truly help them, because everything that NAS have laid out is quite it is right in a lot of way, because yes, people from polytechnics and even colleges of education should be represented. Secondly, 2 years is too short of a time frame for students to pay. Are you trying to ask them to pay from their NYSC allowances? Because yes, immediately after graduation, you're expected to go for your youth service.
You have 1 year before that NYSC.
Yes, that
sometimes.
1 year of waiting, because you have to wait for your results, and some schools don't clear quickly. We know how our Nigerian education system is and how the universities work. So now, then 1 year gone, then the following year you are in for service, and then are they expecting students to pay with their NYSC allowances? And even after that, there is no guarantee of getting a job immediately after service. There are people who had to wait 5 good years or more before getting a real good, well-paying job that could allow them to do something meaningful that will make them settle down and have some kind of standard of living for themselves personally. So even the number of years that NANS are moving, looking at 4 to 5 years, I believe is small. I believe it's still a small number, but for some reason, let's work with that. But then 2 years for sure is very small. Now, one of the things also is concerning let the loan also go as far as covering accommodation, feeding, and transportation. Now, for feeding and transportation, that could be a slippery one. It could be a slippery one, because this loan, for example, doesn't come to the student's pocket. It goes directly to settle your tuition fee. Exactly. It's not something that comes to your pocket, except if they will try to bring out a method of being fed in school, but it doesn't come to your pocket. However, one that I believe should go for sure is accommodation, because students pay for all of these together with the total of their tuition. When you see there will be accommodation, there will be medicals, there will be the main tuition fees and all of that. So yes, this loan can go as far as paying accommodation, because we've seen over the years that hostel room fees have become very, very expensive. They keep skyrocketing. There was a point in time it doubled, even way more than what students were paying for tuition. Exactly. So yes, if it could go that far in covering accommodation, it is a good one. However, there's also a challenge of the accommodation on campus not being enough. So what about the student that couldn't access accommodation on the campus? What about those that are living off campus and all of that? So this is something for the federal government to really reconsider, because I am truly looking forward to a government that when they want to help, they should come in and help. Let everybody have access to this loan, because some of the criteria of guarantors, if we are going to be honest, a lot of people will not meet that criteria. Yes, exactly. So yes, let the government reconsider, let the House of Reps, let our lawmakers reconsider. And if you truly want to help Nigerians, as this loan is geared towards that, then you should do everything it takes to make sure that people really get help by it.
Rachel, while you were mentioning that talking about transportation and feeding will be quite, it will be slippery. I remember when the president was addressing Nigerians ahead of this, increase of fuel price, he made mention
Mm.
he is going to provide buses that will
Yes,
be
to
actually
shove.
taking the student. And I remember you and I were asking, is this bus only those living in the camp,
Or
or
of
will it include those who are living off
yes.
campus? How do you intend to run this? And I think right now, if you are yet to hear a breakdown, because you will recall that still today we're looking at where us were saying that they are threatening to go on strike if their promotion areas are not being paid.
Yes.
So this is actually a slippery one. While NAS is pushing forward for something, ASO on the other hand are also pushing for. You remember during the student loan, I mean, even ASO came out to say that why I did not part of it. NAS said they don't even want ASO to be there because it will become a political issue eventually. So you will see it seems as if everybody has his own part of the story, and we're yet to see ASO and NAS coming together to agree on something. And I'm just hoping that this is all for the benefit of the school system. And just like I was saying earlier on, if you even look at the student loan, representative of the polytechnic is not there, and we have students there. Representative of colleges, teaching colleges are not there. We only have the NUC there. So if you look at this whole thing eventually, critically, we know that somehow it looks as if it's biased. Some people will benefit, others will not benefit. Just like we've seen ASU saying they just want a grant, because just like you said, even the 4 years is looking as if, can you really make it up? Because even you are Lawi, if you are hoping to use that, that is to say that for the 33,000 you are being paid for every month, you make sure that you remove maybe 10 or 20, depending on how long
did you much loan you've acquired. Yes.
Did you start assessing this loan from 100 level? You just start assessing it, because right now, Rachel, let's not forget, a lot of our federal universities are increasing their tuition fee. We're having medical students paying over 200,000. We're having returning students paying about 150,000 and above. That is just tuition fee.
Yes.
We've not included other things that they will be paying. So quite a lot. If you even take a look at the breakdown of the tuition fee, Richard, it will break your heart. You are paying for so many things twice. You pay for SUG or tuition fee. You still
you
go
to
SUG.
Claire, you still
pay.
Yes.
You now wonder what really is the problem. We're not even being transparent as a body. So I'm looking forward to seeing, even though NAS have a good heart to bring certain things, but we hope that the government will consider this. They have brought this to the reps, just like you said. Reps said they need an interest of 3%. Well, we don't know. We are yet to pay the money, and you're asking us to pay the interest of the money. So we just hope that the reps will actually consider some of these things, and then eventually we'll see that our students will actually have a free flow to go to school, and then we hope ASU will not threaten to go on strike as they are. Now, for us to close this show today, Rachel, something dear to my heart. Looking at how our image has been battered bitterly. When you look at the value our passport, our green passport have, it seems as if it's depreciating on a daily basis.
It is.
I mean, when you go with your green passport, it has the way you are being treated. This is supposed to be one of the things that symbolizes who we are, our image as a country. Every country have their own passport that identify, because if you go to open a bank account, you're always asked either you bring your international passport or you bring your driver's license or you bring your voter's card. So something very, very important to show that this is who we are.
Yes.
But over the years, Richard, if you look at it, Nigerians have been treated with so much, I don't know the word that is proper at this moment, but we've not been treated right. And people have made reference to maybe somewhere along the line, somebody somewhere did something wrong. And that is why it's now affecting almost everybody in the country. When you go with your green passport, maybe they're about to do the right thing for you, and then when you just show them it's green in color, and they're like, step aside, let's attend to other people. Because it's either we're being tagged as either we're thieves, Yahoo, or we're being maybe even suicide bombers, because this is the image other people have projected. I remember during the case of when Nigerians were schooling in Ukraine and the reps had to bring them back. If you listen to some of the stories of the students that were coming, they will tell you the way they were being treated. And one of the questions is it because you were black, or is it because you're a Nigerian? Because we've heard the way Nigerians have been treated even in Ghana, the way Nigerians have been treated in South Africa. Presently, right now, so Nigerian students have been stranded in UK as a result of scam. Now, I want to believe that they were not being scammed by the proper authorities. Maybe somebody somewhere promised to help you get the visa sharp, sharp.
Exactly.
And then eventually you are here. So, Rachel, quite a lot if you look at this thing.
You know the painful thing about this is that it's not someone somewhere, it's someone still spoiling the image of Nigeria. It's those people that have been busted for fake visa spoiling the image of Nigeria. It's a different thing if 20 years ago Nigerians had cases of fake visa, drug trafficking, and is no longer happening, is no longer in our books. Trust me, we wouldn't be having step aside at the airport. But this is what is constantly happening. And there are procedures. You know, I believe what happened is this. You get a fake visa because it is a process when it comes to visa. You can't be scammed with a fake visa. No. You paid for a fake visa. You got passed in Nigeria.
Yes, and let me use your word and say you got what you paid for
here in your country, and then when you went to another country, you got busted because they are probably more thorough. And then it shows you that there is a cycle, there is an organized crime when it comes to this, because how it happens is that if I need a visa today, I go to the embassy of the country I want the visa, I pass my interview, and it is an official from the embassy that stamps and give me a visa, because a visa is clearly a stamp on your passport. Now, what happens is that people cut corners. People cut corners and don't get the right or the appropriate visa, because instead of following the right ways, because you probably know you might not pass your interview, you go and get a fake visa. But guess what? There's also another fake person that have been paid in the interview to let you pass. However, you go to this foreign country and then the officers there, because you can't tell me that we don't have the same technology to view whether a visa is fake or not. We also have it. So how did you pass? But then you go there, you didn't pay anybody any bribe there. You think what you have is very legit because whosoever did this visa for you promised you is legit. You go there, and by the time these officers at the airport start asking you questions, you're not giving questions that of course you should have passed if you had gone and had a visa interview, and they start asking you questions, they start asking you for certain documents you don't have, and before you know it, you are stranded and you said you're being scammed. The truth is that you either did pay for a fake visa, but nobody can scam you of a visa if you went through the right process, because it's not a hidden thing. It's not like you went online and you landed on a fake site that said pay this and get this. No, this is something that needs a physical interaction, but for some reason you didn't do that. So why is this a painful one? It's because it is a continuous activity of spoiling the Nigerian image. No wonder our green passport is no longer having value. It is a continuous thing. We are having drug traffickers being busted every single day at the airport. We are having fraudsters being found. I remember one very popular one, Interpol, International Police, kept on finding him, and they finally found him in another country, and they have arrested him. So it's a continuous activity of spoiling the name of the country, and we can't just point racism to it. We were pointing this finger, and all is coming back. Yes, all is coming back to us. So it is for the authorities in charge to wake up. And you know what? We are tired of our names being painted black. We need to do something about it. Until then, we will keep being the one at the receiving end of
Rachel,
our
I'll
mistakes.
pick that as your encouraging words to Nigerians out there. There's no how we can be better. We don't do something from within to make other people know that we are better than what they see us as. And as a youth, it is our responsibility to be image bearers wherever we find ourselves, to represent Nigeria in the right way that is possible. Well, on this note, we have to call it a wrap on Nigeria now. Until we come here again, to have a blessed weekend ahead.